cannot believe no one is over here helping Gary.
I, for one, have not seen anybody else outside of Gary, Indiana, talk about what's going on in Gary, Indiana. And I don't like it.
It almost begs the question, how long can Americans survive without electricity?
It's like a horror movie out here. We've got helicopters everywhere. The roads are parking lots. It's like we're all trying to exit town and there's no gas, no power, nowhere to go. We're stuck. The car is officially off, no gas. It's hot, we got all the doors open.
The largest data center in the world is planned to be built in Ohio. It'll cost up to $40 billion to construct, and it'll be 3,700 acre center that will require 10 gigawatts or 1/3 of Ohio's entire power grid capacity to run. 1/3 of an entire state's power capacity?
I was the one feeding Mid-Journey prompts to create the perfect commercial, training the very machine that would eventually replace me, as 3 months later they would lay me off. I didn't just watch it happen, I was holding the tools when the tools were turned on me. A big employer who uses the water of 50,000 people, which by the way is a combination of both Kent and Ravenna, only hires about 10 people, is not an employer. They are an extraction. We are being asked to fund a 21st century luxury with a 19th century resource heist. We are being asked to sacrifice the lifeblood of our city so a $1 trillion company can save a fraction of a cent on its margins. We are being asked to drain our reservoirs so a chatbot can write a poem or so our sheriff can generate a picture of himself standing next to Bigfoot.
If the U.S. power grid went down tomorrow, most Americans would lose power within 72 hours. Here are the states that would survive.
This video is for commentary, entertainment, and discussion. We are reacting to publicly available articles, videos, expert statements, and reportings concerning the U.S. power grid. We are not claiming that a nationwide blackout is definitely going to happen, that any specific event is imminent, or that every claim made in this video we're reacting to is factual. Some of what you're about to see involves worst case scenarios, historical studies, expert opinions, speculation, and claims made by other creators, especially with the recent reporting about our aging grid infrastructure, transformer shortages, growing electricity demand, and about data centers. Do your own research and check the original sources for yourself. Now let's dive into this rabbit hole. Guys, it has been brought to my attention that Gary, Indiana has been out of power for almost 9 days now. Now, the #1 comment is saying, is this a test for the whole country? You know, we can see how empty the stores look, like nothing's there. It almost begs the question, how long can Americans survive without electricity? What happens to the food, the stores, the communication, medical equipment, transportation? You guys all remember that huge event where we all had to wear a mask and, you know, they were running out of toilet paper? This is giving the same vibes. And the scariest comment, the #1 comment, is saying, is this a test for the whole country? If you guys aren't aware, there's a John Wellinghoff talking about an 18-month restoration story. And basically it's saying that all we need is a couple transformers to malfunction for the America power grid to possibly go down. This just came out a few days ago. Don't believe anything anybody says. Do your own research on everything.
It's like a horror movie out here. We've got helicopters everywhere. The roads are parking lots. It's like we're all trying to exit town and there's no gas, no power, nowhere to go. We're stuck. The car is officially off, no gas. It's hot, we got all the doors open. And Admir's annoyed, so I'm gonna stop updating you guys. He wants me to sit here in hot silence and just burn up and do nothing. It's literally nuts. Okay, so we were able to get an Uber and we are just going to abandon our car and get home and figure it out later.
You know, I feel like there should be more coverage on this. I'm just now hearing about this on 8/21. And this been going on for 8, 7, 9 days. If you're in Indiana, check in. Drop it in the comments below. If you heard about this, talk to us. Put it in the comments below.
I cannot believe no one is over here helping Gary.
Thousands of people in Gary, Indiana have been without power since August 11th.
The National Weather Service informed us that Gary faced the strongest winds, which reached 99 miles per hour, equivalent to a Category 2 hurricane.
All the power is out, as far as I know, all across Gary, Indiana.
They're losing food. Homes are getting warmer.
They do not have money, and some of the cards aren't even working. I ran into some ladies that had children, and my heart broke.
My name's Aja, and I'm going on day 7 of having no power in one of Indiana's worst blackouts and one of the highest crime cities in Indiana.
NIPSCO, the company that services 100% of customers in Gary, are now saying that it may be until next Tuesday until many people get power back.
We're on day 9 of no power in Gary, Indiana.
My neighbor across the street, my teacher down two streets down, we have no air in here.
Schools are closed. Families are throwing away spoiled food. People are driving to Illinois just to find ice for insulin.
I am from Gary, Indiana. I was born there, raised there until I was about 8 years old. My family is from there and people still live there. And many people are telling me that they still don't have power. They have trees on top of their homes. One of my cousins sent me this video of a grocery store completely decimated, food spoiled. This is also where the city gave people vouchers to, $150 of vouchers. But this was the only place that they could use the vouchers.
I, for one, have not seen anybody else outside of Gary, Indiana talk about what's going on in Gary, Indiana. And I don't like it.
Gary, Indiana specifically is also almost 85% black. That's important.
I think this should be national news, and it's crazy to me that it's not being talked about.
I cannot believe.
Well, we're going to talk about it today.
The United States power grid is at risk of a major blackout that could last up to 18 months, according to a new report. Concerns are heightened as one U.S. city has been without power for more than a week. John Wellinghoff said the grid could be seriously disrupted if similar incidents targeted the 10 most important substations in the country's 3 sections. In North...
All right, if you're watching this, you're probably like me. Who's John Wellinghoff? Explain to me who John Wellinghoff is exactly when it comes to the articles that just got released about the U.S. power grid.
John Wellinghoff is a former chairman of the Federal Energy Regulatory Commission, or FERC, which oversees interstate electricity transmission in the US. After the 2013 attack on the Metcalfe substation in California, he became a key figure in raising awareness about the grid's physical vulnerabilities. In the recent articles, he's referenced because he had previously warned that disabling a handful of critical substations could cause a long-term nationwide blackout. The articles highlight his prior concerns that major transformer damage could take months, potentially over a year, to recover from due to the specialized equipment involved. So his role is as a former top regulator who publicly raised the alarm about how fragile key parts of the grid could be if targeted or severely damaged.
So this just isn't someone that's just running their mouth. He actually knows a little bit about the United States infrastructure.
Exactly. Wellinghoff wasn't just speculating. He spent years in a top regulatory seat where his job was to understand these systems. He's familiar with the grid's complexities and vulnerabilities, and his warning stems from real analysis done inside the system. So when he raises concerns, it's grounded in deep knowledge of how the infrastructure actually operates.
These 3 sections. In Northwest Indiana, more than 75,000 customers were still in the dark Wednesday, and full restoration is not expected until August 25th.
Developing news coming out today, August 19th, 2026, of potential cyber attacks against our power grid systems that could knock out and black out the entire United States for 18 months. And they're saying it is shockingly easy. In fact, they're saying that 12-year-olds with internet access could do this. And so Iran doing this, they said, is not out of the picture, and it could be absolutely devastating. Let's take a look at the latest headlines coming out today, August 19th, so you can see it for yourself. Shockingly vulnerable U.S. power grid could result in an 18-month nationwide blackout, an expert has warned. This is coming out all across the headlines today, August 19th, 2026. Take a look at some more with me. Warning that a mammoth nationwide blackout could last 18 months as power grids' appalling weak spots are exposed, and they're saying this is something the IRGC could actually easily do to the United States. U.S. is at risk of an 18-month-long blackout that could extend across the entire nation, experts claim. So just to clarify, we're going to be getting into the details of this, but they're saying this is not just a city or a region. They're saying the entire United States of America could be entirely blacked out, shut down, and we would be unable to get our systems up for roughly 18 months.
18 months. This isn't just like they're saying this isn't in like a week or two. 18 months? America? That sounds like something you'll see on Walking Dead. Damn near like they trying to do a reset, a miniature reset, y'all. Internet reset, if that. And if the system's down, there's no telling what they gonna put in the system now. You know, what type of new AI, technologies that they can integrate into the new system, so when it comes back, it's not going to be the same. All right, I understand. What was his name? Wellinghoff. He said something about our grid infrastructure, but there's also something, I believe Joe was his name, said something about potential cyberattacks. Can you elaborate on what I'm trying to refer to here?
You're thinking of Joe Weiss. He's a well-known expert in industrial control systems, basically the technology that runs the machinery behind utilities and critical infrastructure. He's been sounding alarms for years about how cyber attacks could cross into physical damage. His concern is that hackers targeting these systems could cause real-world destruction, like damaging large transformers or generators. In such a scenario, it wouldn't just be about turning things off and back on. If physical equipment is destroyed, it could take months to replace. So Weiss's point is that cyber vulnerabilities could, in extreme cases, trigger the kind of long-term outages that Wellinghoff was warning about.
Because you got to think about like all these different data centers and all this new power demand and natural resources that we need for these power demands. How does all this correlate?
All that new demand, whether from data centers, AI clusters, or electrifying transport, basically piles up on top of an infrastructure that's aging. If the grid isn't upgraded fast enough, we risk bottlenecks, overloading, and delays in expansion. It doesn't mean an instant collapse, but it does mean that without careful planning, a single major failure could have a bigger ripple effect. In short, if the grid was already fragile, rapid growth in demand could magnify existing weaknesses.
If the U.S. power grid went down tomorrow, most Americans would lose power within 72 hours. Here are the states that would survive. There are 50 states. Only one has its own independent power grid. Texas, disconnected from the rest of America since 1935, generates 145,000 megawatts internally. If every other state went dark, Texas would still have the lights on. And Texas isn't alone. 5 states produce more electricity than they consume. Wyoming produces 189% of what it uses. West Virginia, massive coal exporter. North Dakota, huge wind surplus. Montana, exports across the Pacific Northwest. New Hampshire, nuclear heavy exporter. These states wouldn't just survive, they could power their neighbors. Now here's where it gets bad. 5 states rely on others for most of their power. Washington, Massachusetts, Maryland, Delaware, Idaho, and then there's California. It imports 89 million megawatt hours every year, the most of any state in America. If the grid went down, California would go dark within hours. Here's what most people miss. The entire U.S. runs on 3 grid systems: Eastern, Western, and Texas. One attack on one system could black out half the country in minutes.
Now you got to ask yourself, with all these data centers that's popping up out of nowhere in America, Can our infrastructure actually handle all this?
And now this is probably one of the more sad things I've seen. The largest data center in the world is planned to be built in Ohio. It'll cost up to $40 billion to construct, and it'll be 3,700 acre center that will require 10 gigawatts or 1/3 of Ohio's entire power grid capacity to run. 1/3 of an entire state's power capacity? And now this is probably one of the more sad things I've seen. The largest...
That's just one data center that they're building. I hear they got one they're building in Texas. I can show you better than I can tell you. Activate submersible.
A 100 million square feet. Elon Musk just officially announced what could become one of the largest manufacturing projects ever built in Texas, and the size is absolutely unbelievable. SpaceX and Governor Abbott confirmed that Musk's new Terra fab is coming to Grimes County, Texas. That's kind of funny, I find. The full build out, well, it could potentially reach 100 million square feet. The first phase alone is expected to represent about 16.8 billion of investment.
Look at the scale. This is Mall of America, 5.6 million square feet. Apple Park, 2.82 million square feet. The Pentagon. You know, these are the size reference, and look how big this thing is. The Terra fab. How much juice is this gonna take? How much water is this gonna siphon?
Create about 3,000 jobs. Earlier filings suggest the entire project could eventually represent at least 55 billion, potentially reaching 119 billion, depending on how much land SpaceX can acquire. SpaceX says TerraFab will bring manufacturing, memory, logic, advanced packaging, and testing together under one roof. Those chips could eventually power Tesla's Optimus robots, autonomous cybercabs, even SpaceX's planned space-based data center. And that's where the second part of this really gets interesting, is that Musk says Tesla and SpaceX could eventually require an incredible 1 terawatt of computing power. So instead of depending entirely on other chip manufacturing, Musk is trying to build more of that supply chain himself, and increasingly he's building it right here in Texas. Now, SpaceX has Starbase in South Texas. Its massive Starlink manufacturing operation continues expanding in Bastrop outside of Austin. Tesla has Gigafactory Texas, and now TerraFab is planning near the Gibbons Creek Reservoir between Austin and Houston regions. SpaceX says it plans to use water from the reservoir for industrial operations rather than relying on local groundwater, with wastewater treatment and water use also planned. So we're watching something much bigger than another Texas factory. Musk is increasingly building an entirely vertical, integrated AI, robotic, semiconductor, and space manufacturing ecosystem inside of Texas. I'm just curious how you feel about that. And if TerraFab actually reaches anywhere close to 100 million square feet, the scale could be unlike anything we've ever seen before. So is Texas becoming the center of America's next industrial revolution, or is Musk expanding way too quickly?
Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Is this a good thing? Is it a bad thing? Yeah, it'll create more jobs, but will the jobs matter if it puts the grid down? You know what I'm saying? Like, tell me your thoughts on this. It's like these data centers are popping up faster and faster. You know what that scene reminds me of on The Matrix? You know, when everything was dried out, the sky was darked out. You got these damn sentinels flying everywhere. You know? We need to tribe up, y'all. I feel like now is the time to try and grow your own food. Try to set up those solar panels. Get your battery banks. You know what I'm saying? It's better to be safe than sorry. It's time to tribe up, y'all. You know, say if it did hit the fan, you know, and you got money and you're trying to pay for something, you know, the other people, you're not going to really be able to barter money like that. You can't eat the paper or coins. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be a trading system. You got to think about power, how you going to eat, sanitization, how you going to clean stuff, you know? Man.
Sidney, Ohio. Right up the road from Piqua, who is also getting a massive data center that the residents don't want. Sidney's data center is from Amazon, a $3 billion data center that will be paying zero in taxes for 30 years. They're being promised 1 million gallons per day of the Sidney's public water system. And this was all approved under a non-disclosure agreement that the public was not informed on until the city had already made major zoning and other promises to Amazon. The site is smack dab in the middle of housing, churches.
You know, the people that's high up there, you know, that own these data centers and companies, you know, I feel like they already got their underground bunkers. They already got everything prepared. They're not worried about anything going crazy because, you know, they're prepared. They have the underground bunkers, the water, the food, entertainment. Like, they are prepared, I feel like.
Other residential areas, and is projected to possibly use up to 400 megawatts of electricity, all for the grand total of 75 jobs a year. If someone wants to explain how this is a good deal for Sidney, please let me know.
This morning, I found out that the same month we secured this property to go off the grid in 2023, it was also decided that there was going to be a data center put in not 5 minutes down the road from where we used to live. I am always thankful and grateful, but I have never been more thankful to be here where I am, and I'm sending prayers to Sandusky. God told us to get out, and we did, and I'm so grateful. For those of you that don't know about data centers, do your research. It will suck up the electrical grid and the water. It's going to make utilities skyrocket, and the water is going to be contaminated. As if it wasn't already contaminated enough. So if you're in Sandusky, Ohio, and you're experiencing higher utility bills and more frequent power outages, this is why. Do with that information what you will. This
sounds like they got the right idea. You know, I remember back in the day, people used to complain about, solar panel prices, you know. Solar panels really don't seem like a bad idea right now. You know, it's like, how can you make it perpetual so you can store the energy, you know? If you're in the winter months, how does it survive the winter, you know? How can we create our own energy is the question now. If you ask me, it's no longer about homesteading or trying to be off grid. At this point, if you ask me, it's about being prepared and survival.
Mr. Hollingsworth, I know that you had your hand up to talk.
Hello, my name is Will Hollingsworth. I work at Reed Memorial Library, and thank you all for hearing me today. I'm not a cynic when it comes to technology. My love for it started when my uncle first sat me down at a beige Windows 95 computer and began teaching me HTML. I will never forget the first thing I Googled. It was an image search for pigs flying. I wanted to see if the internet could make the impossible real. This love of the digital shaped my career as I went on to become a programmer and a professional content creator. For the last decade and a half, I have been in service of learning burgeoning technology. In my last job, I was the digital artist they trusted to do that kind of work. I was the one feeding Midjourney prompts to create the perfect commercial, training the very machine that would eventually replace me, as 3 months later, they would lay me off. I didn't just watch it happen, I was holding the tools when the tools were turned on me. I want to stress, I don't stand here as an enemy of progress. The thing is, when I look at the data center proposal, I don't see progress. I see a gamble where the big tech companies get the gold while Portage County foots the bill. Now, I know there are good faith arguments for this project. There are people in our community, informed, honest people, who will tell you that the modern data centers use what's called a closed loop system. They say the water is filled once and recycled forever. In a laboratory, that might be true, but we aren't living in a laboratory. We're living in Ohio. I can tell you that as the chips get smaller and AI demands get larger, the heat these machines generate is outstripping the closed-loop theory. To keep the servers from melting, a data center has to bleed the lines to remove toxic sludge, aka forever chemicals, and bleeding water needs to be evaporated. It does not stay in the loop. It evaporates into the sky by millions of gallons. The very place that laid me off was an organic mattress company, and while working for them, I actually learned a lot about forever chemicals. I got to see how the sausage gets made. I saw the inside of those so-called regulations. I saw how rigorous studies are often self-funded, a pay-to-play model where if you've got the cash, they'll give you the certificate. If a $1 trillion company is funding the study that says their forever chemical runoff won't hit our water table, they aren't giving us the science, they're giving us a sales pitch. We're told that we have to accept this because we need big employers. We're told that if we don't say yes, we're driving away the future. But that's a false choice. A big employer who uses the water of 50,000 people, which by the way is a combination of both Kent and Ravenna, only hires about 10 people is not an employer. They are an extraction. We are being asked to fund a 21st century luxury with a 19th century resource heist. We are being asked to sacrifice the lifeblood of our city so a $1 trillion company can save a fraction of a cent on its margins. We are being asked to drain our reservoirs so a chatbot can write a poem or so our sheriff can generate a picture of himself standing next to Bigfoot. Which, by the way, of course, he made himself look taller. They want us to trust a $1 trillion industry that tells us with a straight face that they can suck 5 million gallons of water out of our ground a day, use it as a liquid heat sink, and return it to our rivers without a single consequence. They are asking for a measured approach while they hide their actual usage behind secret contracts and NDAs. Ohioans have seen this trick played before. We know what happens when massive utility interests and black box energy deals get fast-tracked behind closed doors. We're still paying the bill, literally, for the first energy scandal. We were told these bailouts were essential and measured too, and it turned out to be the largest racketeering plot in the history of our state.
If you're in Ohio, I strongly recommend Hawking Hills. If you're watching this, chances are, if you're watching this, your entire family is going to be coming to you if something does like this happen. If something pops off and you're watching this video, chances are the entire family is going to be coming to you. Because you're the only one that's smart enough to digest all the information that's going around us and processing it and possibly acting on it.
So when a $1 trillion company asks for our water, our electricity, and our silence, we shouldn't just be asking for the facts. We should be asking who's really getting the kickback and why is it our reservoir that's on the line? There is a reason the Ohio House just voted 88-0 to pause and study this industry. It wasn't an act of cynicism, it was an act of stewardship. They realize we cannot let these ghost towns move in then before we understand the damage they do to our grid and our water table. We are the county seat. We are the stewards of the Great Lakes Basin. Let Ravenna be the city that had the wisdom to say no to the bubble and yes to the basin. I am not a cynic when it comes to technology. I am a believer in community. I believe that a drop of clean water for a Ravenna child is worth more than 1 billion AI-generated images. Let us choose the child. Let us choose the community. Let us choose to keep our water where it belongs. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I wanted to go more deep into this about homesteading, off-grid power, solar banks, all that. So later on today, head over to Jet Ski Chuck, where we will be diving in even deeper later on today. I might go live, honestly, because we got to talk about this. But time is getting away from me, so let's get into the specimen of the day. If you thought I wasn't going to hit you with another excellent specimen of the day, think again. What a interesting piece. A large naturally formed column purple fluorite. But when he puts the light, it kind of has like this ember glow. Interesting. I already know what I'm gonna name this, guys. The rating I'm gonna give this is a 8.3, and I'm gonna call this the Octopus Tentacle. As you can kind of see the suction cups on the backside. That's the best side with all the geodes and the dark purple. I wish they would have showed that more, but Octopus Tentacle, what'd I say, 8.3, 8.4? Drop your rating and the name of the specimen in the comments below. That's all we got for today's video. If you enjoyed this one, be sure to hit that like and subscribe button and drop the code word in the comments below. Today's code word is data centers. Go ahead and drop data centers in the comments below. When you do that, that lets me know you're a real one. You made it all the way to the end of the video and you really rock with your boy. I just want to say thank you. I love you guys from the bottom of my heart. Again, I'm going to be doubling up on you today, so head over to Jet Ski Chuck for a longer, more in-depth video where we'll be doing basically part 2 of this video, going even more in depth, talking about solar panels, homesteading, you know, how to, you know, do your best possible to get prepared for this. We got to tribe up, y'all, because, man, it's getting real in the field. I love you guys. We'll see you soon.